Now, a spectacular celebration of folk music is coming to Clare this June, the 20th of June to be precise, as the Seeger Sessions Revival brings the sound and spirit of Bruce Springsteen's iconic Seeger Sessions album to the stage at Glór on the 20th of June. Featuring a 13-piece band, high-energy mix of folk, bluegrass, gospel and more, the show pays tribute to the legendary Pete Seeger. And to tell us more, I'm joined now from the Seeger Sessions Revival by Christopher Speer. Christopher, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan. How are you?
Very well. Thanks very much for joining us. Look, people very familiar with Bruce Springsteen. Obviously, his Seeger Sessions album, some of them might be less familiar unless they're avid Bruce fans. It isn't, Born in the USA, but it's an album I have and really enjoy. An important tribute to Pete Seeger. For those not familiar with Pete Seeger, can you just outline for them what a legendary figure he was in the last century in the US in terms of folk music and much more besides?
Yeah, I suppose Pete Seeger, it was big involvement in the civil rights movement in the 1960s, and so it's songs like "We Shall Overcome." There'll be a lot of songs people will know that they'll not link with either Pete Seeger or Bruce Springsteen. There was a lot of songs on the show and that, but I think they will know them. They will know them when they hear them. So.
Yeah, and I guess even people who might have seen the Timothy Chalamet Bob Dylan biopic, Pete Seeger features in that as well. You think of him, you think of the likes of Woody Guthrie. How important is his legacy in terms of what we then saw in the music that came in the 60s and everything that unfolded from there?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge in the history of America. I think it's 250 years this year, America. It's huge in the American history. So it lives on through even to today, and the songs are as relevant today as they've ever been. So, it's very, very important music, and we're just delighted to be able to keep it alive. I know Bruce did it in 2006 and that, but he hasn't done it since that. So we're delighted to be able to keep the songs alive, and people come to see them and just say they know the songs, and so I think it's very important to keep it going.
And Christopher, can you talk to us a bit about the genesis of this show? Why focus in on this particular part of Bruce Springsteen's discography, his career, where he paid tribute to another legendary musician who paved the way for the likes of him to come along later? What was it that you and others in the group are Springsteen fans and just particularly took to this record, or were you aware of the significance of Pete Seeger already? How did it all come about?
I suppose growing up, I always loved the album. I was always a big Bruce fan. My uncle was a huge Bruce fan, but mainly the E Street stuff. But this was just so different. It's so linked to the Dixieland jazz from New Orleans, and it's that kind of a feel to it. The whole community thing as well, just a huge sound, and it's just joyful music. There's big gospel influence to it. And I suppose it was back in COVID, really. I always kind of had in the back of my head that I would love to do something with it or do something like it. And then during COVID, we all know what happened. The world stopped. So I kind of just took a chance, contacted just musicians I'd played with or recorded with over the years and pulled the band together. And that was kind of the start of it. But it's not the E Street stuff. It's not the E Street music. And I know it's only one album, and the live album in Dublin as well. But it's huge. It's so significant. It's not just one album, really. It's an era. It's an era of Bruce Springsteen stuff, and not even just Bruce. As you say, it's the Pete Seeger. It's the whole American history element around it.
It really harks back to almost like the roots of various styles of music that began in America: folk, bluegrass, gospel, and so on. And as you've referenced that legendary live show in Dublin that was turned into an album. And did you think you're providing a service, Christopher, in terms of people who loved that short-lived part of Springsteen's career? You're keeping it going to the extent that you've even played venues where Springsteen himself has performed.
Yeah, Well, as you say, like we played LSO St Luke's, which is the headquarters of the London Symphony Orchestra in London, obviously. But Bruce brought the Seeger Sessions there in 2006. So I just thought it'd be cool to do it. So we booked a show there, and there were fans flew from all over the world for that show to see us. Like there's people come from New York, there's different parts of America, there was people from Italy, Germany, all over Europe as well, came in for that show.
That's good. That's got to be a real boost for your ego, knowing they've travelled that far to see you guys.
It's amazing. I just couldn't really believe it because I got the ticket. What do you call it? The breakdown of the locations that people come from, and it's amazing. Hey, there's the love for the music. You can see it there. As I say, Bruce hasn't done it since 2006. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and when he did that tour and performed the Seeger material and everything else involved with it 20 years ago, it was a big band. I mean, the E Street Band is big. This was even bigger. And I suppose to be able to carry all that off, you guys are quite the ensemble, 13-piece ensemble. Yeah. In terms of instrumentation, you must have tons of stuff in there. Is there fiddle, banjo, brass section, all that kind of stuff to be able to pull off all the different genres?
Yeah, so we've got a 4-piece brass section. I've got accordion, fiddle, but I play the banjo, with bass, double bass, flute in there, steel guitar in there, drums obviously. So it's a big band, but you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it with 4 or 5 piece. Like it wouldn't work at all. So you kind of have to have the numbers. But that's great. Hey, and the band are great. In terms of not just musicianship, but they're just all great people as well. So it really, they make it easy. Not that they make it easy, but they make it easier anyway. So there's no egos in it. Everybody gets on really well, and it's a really good night out. Just we love playing it as well. So. And
people, I'm sure, will be very much looking forward to the show in Glór on Saturday, the 20th of June. And we've talked about some of the bigger venues you've played, which I'm sure you enjoy. But is there something special? Do you enjoy the more intimate venues like Glór as well, where you can really see the whites of people, the audience's eyes?
Yeah, of course. We played some of the shows we have played. So we were the first band ever to play the Emirates Arena in Glasgow, back in Celtic Connections last year. I think it was about 10,000 at that. But as you say, the smaller venues probably suit the show better because we do the Belfast Empire there, and it's a small, compact, very small stage. So we're all crammed on it, but it's brilliant. Hey. So the smaller shows are great as well. So we'll do anywhere really, but as I say, the smaller stages and the smaller venues probably suit the style of the music and the style of the show.
And it probably is no harm to be harking back to an era of a legendary artist like Bruce Springsteen, because even though it's very roots-based music, and he himself was paying tribute to the likes of Pete Seeger and all those others who came before the modern rock and roll era, Bruce has an army of fans around the world, so you're kind of always guaranteed to have, for people who haven't seen you before, they'll be curious to check you out because they're fans of the boss, and they perhaps like that record and that era of his career, and want to see how you guys pull it off.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, there's, as you say, he's an army of fans all over the world, and people travel the world on his tours. I don't know where they get the money, but
you don't know where they get the money, but you're just glad they have it and then have enough for the ticket. I do wonder, Christopher, on the 20th of June, will you be checking out what part of? I'm sure there'll be people coming from all over Clare, maybe even further afield. See if there's any international travellers as well. I'm sure, and there's going to be a lot of. I know there's a lot of fans of Springsteen in this county. Some who've seen him many, many times. They know who they are. So that's the Seeger Sessions Revival coming to Glór on Saturday, the 20th of June. And Christopher Speer from the band. Chris, thanks very much for being with us on the show, and I'm sure you're going to get a great reception in June.
Thank you very much, Alan, for having me, and hopefully if you can make it on the night, sure, I'll get to meet you in person.